Looking great is back in style. With the return of weddings, job interviews, and in-person dates, there's never been a better time to upgrade your wardrobe. Indochino's Black Friday event has their lowest prices of the year, with fully customized suits starting from just $2.99 and shirts from $45. Get away from the video calls and back into looking and feeling amazing. Indochino's Black Friday event runs from November 8th to the 29th. Order custom garments at Indochino.com or book an appointment at over 70 showrooms.
This is Mud at Night on WEEI.
Matt Jones can manage. He's played very well.
He's not the biggest guy. He's not the fastest guy.
Exactly.
He doesn't have the biggest arm. But it's the intangibles.
He came out with the elite grade in processing. He was always going to be great at, and he's proving that.
He's as good as Tom Brady, or probably better than Tom Brady was when he became the quarterback of the New England Patriots.
The Muttman.
Bill Belichick, this is his best job he's ever done coaching.
There is no team in the AFC that wants to see the New England Patriots the way they're playing right now.
This is a really, really good team, a top 5 team in the NFL right now.
Now, Mud at Night on WEEI.
Hour 3, Mud at Night. It's a Mego Tuesday. Megan Ottolini joins us. She has a busy Tuesday today. She's hanging out with Mac Jones. She's on TV. She comes in here. Give her a follow on Twitter. You're not following yet at Megan_Ottolini. Are you active on Instagram? Should you want people to follow you there? Or is that more of a please leave me alone on Instagram thing?
I mean, yeah, if you want to follow, fine. Just, I mostly post about work on Instagram.
Oh, there you go. You can also follow Merloni and Fourier. They launched an Instagram page, and they're doing this annoying thing where they do a wrap-up video, and they linger in the studio. You only have 5 minutes to get in, and so Fourier actually opened his video today saying Mutt gets annoyed. I do, but you should still check out the video and follow them on Instagram. They're doing some great stuff there as well. You can follow Megan on Twitter. She's all sorts of Patriots news during the week and other random thoughts about Diet Coke and clown noses, all that stuff on social media. Last time you were here, 2 weeks ago you were here, you screamed it's November 2nd and said it's too early to go nuts about the Celtics. So I continue to point out the date. Every time I talk about the Celtics, it's 2 weeks later now, the 16th.
It's a bit now.
It's a bit. It's working for the people out there. Since we last talked about the team, they beat the Raptors, who are kind of an undermanned, scrappy team this year. Beat the Bucks without Giannis in overtime on Friday night. Lost to the Cavs over the weekend, but then came back and beat the Cavs last night. So they lost at home, then won against Cleveland. So 3-1 since we last saw them. Still no Jaylen Brown. Any updates from where you stand on the current state of the Celtics? So you and I both agreed last time we talked, there's something missing, something going on here, something's got to change. Has that changed for you watching them now win 3 of their last 4?
Well, at least on one side of the ball, they're starting to figure it out, which is defensively. Over the last 7 games, I believe that they're the number 1 defensive team in the league at this point. Again, that's just a 7-game stretch, so it's not huge in terms of the bigger picture with the season. But they're starting to figure that out. They're starting to unlock certain guys, like Schroeder has been pretty consistently good. But on my bigger question is, what is the end game for this season? What is the goal of this season? Because previously, I believe on November 2nd, we talked about, we both felt like they were probably going to be in a sort of holding pattern in this season. Am I wrong?
No, it felt like this was a year to get to either a roster shakeup or try to add that third player in the offseason. Yes, I think we both agreed.
So shouldn't the goal be then developing the young guys who we agree are still in development? Shouldn't this year be about developing them?
I would say that, but also secondary point, I think is just as important as their development, is the identity of this team. And you mentioned this a couple times, and I'll give you credit because I've heard no one else say it in town. Figuring out and convincing these guys what their roles are. Ime Udoka coming in and establishing, I'm not just the guy who calls out players. I'm not just the guy you guys wanted to coach this team. I'm going to explain to you, here's your role and how it's going to help you as a player and us as a team. As a team. He has to implore to these guys, here's what I need you to do. Instead of the freelancing that goes on a lot with some of these players. So I agree with you on the development, but is Ime Udoka going to be here for 2 years and then off somewhere else? Or is he going to come in here, put his fingerprints on this Celtic team and build out whatever the identity is going to be? To me, is just as important.
So you're basically saying that what is as important as developing Jaylen and Jason and ensuring that they stay here as your core for the team of the future is having Udoka be the guy that you're tied to. Assert himself as the coach of the future of this team.
Yeah, and it's right. And if he comes in here and he's going to be wishy-washy and not be able to figure it out, then him and Brad will both be gone, and they'll have to reset the entire thing. Like, Wick is not going to be really patient. He's got two stars. Let's say that. Just 2 stars in this team. They're supposed to be in contention for playoffs every single year, and if they're not, Wick's going to reset the entire thing.
Well, here's the tricky thing, though, is that when they reset it last time in terms of the coach, they went and got the guy that your superstars wanted.
Yeah, they handpicked.
And now, like I said, I still think it's too early. We're not even in the holiday season yet. I think when we get out of the holiday season, we can start to talk about whether.
So 2022?
Yeah.
Okay.
In 2022, I'm ready to talk about whether this season is just a total bust. And the thing that is concerning about what I think is a positive spin or a positive turn that the team has taken overall compared to where they started out, which was just really bad at 2-4. I'm not saying that they're on a roll or anything like that, but they're finding stuff there. But Jason Tatum is not productive. He's in one of the worst shooting stretches of his entire career. And Jaylen Brown is injured. So then, to me, you're not accomplishing that goal that we just discussed.
I think the shooting with Tatum, I'm almost willing to accept as like just going through a bad slump, and they changed the ball, and he's going to
but
eventually,
this isn't baseball,
he's going to shoot better.
You know?
He's going to shoot better. What's still annoying with Tatum, and this is a legit criticism of a player that I love, he is still so happy and content, Mego, with these 3-pointers and long jumpers and pull-up shots. Like, I thought we would get the guy we saw at times last year going to the basket, getting to the free throw line. All the best players in the NBA, that's what they do. Even if it's to the detriment, even if they had changed the rules for James Harden, who we're watching here in studio, like that's what he does. He goes to the basket, gets fouls, and goes to the free throw line. Tatum is still not doing that, and you figured, hey, I'm not shooting well. Here's what I'm going to stop doing. I'm going to stop shooting, go to the basket more, and he's still not doing that. That, to me, is way more frustrating than whatever his shooting percentage is and him getting upset about it, is that he apparently, there's some, I don't know, some block in his brain or some hitch in his game where he's not willing to change it up and go to the basket more. That has been tough to watch. I think he's done it. He's rebounded better. He's had 7 assists in 2 of his last 4 games, so he's trying to be a more complete player. He's still not going to the basket, which is ridiculous.
I still think it's a little bit of progress because he is finding it in other ways to be a productive contributor to the team when the shots aren't falling.
He was pretty good defensively in some of these games too.
Right, and he's an extremely talented athlete with really long arms. There's no reason that he can't be an elite defender. It's just that he carries such an offensive burden for the rest of this team, especially with Jaylen Brown not on the floor. I'm concerned about when Jaylen Brown is actually going to come back. I think it's really critical to get those 2 guys in a groove together and figure it out with the guys on the team that you think you're going to have going forward. Schroeder could be one of those guys. It looks like. I don't know how many more years Al Horford has in him. Smart is
the coach, Al Horford.
Smart is a huge question mark.
Well,
which I'm kind of.
That's my other developing thought here. I'll circle back to Tatum's free throw thing in a second. But I mean, you're seeing it with Schroeder. Schroeder is what we all want Marcus Smart to be.
Well, it's what Marcus Smart used to be.
Yeah, was he ever that explosive? That maybe he was at times, but I feel like Schroeder is just. And I heard this comparison over the weekend. Maybe it was on. It could have been on your. Maybe Fitzy. I thought you said this.
No, we just talked about Pats.
Did you compare him to Rondo last week?
Mm-mm.
I've heard that comparison, that he's similar to Rondo and he's willing to defer his offense and get other guys involved.
No offense, he's not as good as Rondo.
No, I'm not. I don't think so. But I think he defers more than Marcus Smart will. Like he had that stretch at the end of the game the other night where he was the guy to close out the game against the Cavs, and so he was one taking shots in that great fadeaway in the lane. But, I mean, Marcus Smart, his shots, a lot of them are bad shots.
Right.
Like Schroeder got hot, and he kept taking to the basket and getting in and around the hoop, which I think Rondo used to do when they would give him the lane and kind of back off and go, well, we dare to go by. He would do that. That's what I want Marcus Smart to be. I want him to be something he's not. And so I hope they're still thinking about trading him when they can in December or January.
The way that we talk about Mac having like such good processing power and decision making is like the whole detriment of Smart.
Like, the anti-Mac Jones.
It's tough because you're just like, no. I mean, he used to be the biggest no, wait, guy. Like, okay, it's fine. But now it's I don't know if it's like an aging thing or if it's that he's hawking up more shots in this role. I have to look at the numbers on that. But it's much more just no.
So
it's a turnover.
The Tatum thing I was talking about with free throws. Like I don't know exactly where I want him to be on this list, but I can tell you I look at free throw attempt leaders. Not free throws made, but free throws attempted. He's 24th in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, that is unacceptable for a player who spent the offseason getting bigger, getting stronger, trying to, I think, change his game a little bit, and he's going to the free throw line under 5 times per game. And then
who's number one on that list?
Number one, I'll give you the top 5. Giannis, Embiid, Butler, DeRozan, Rudy Gobert.
Yeah,
So-
but maybe that's because he's not getting the calls.
I see, and you know what I'm fearful of? That he's been such a dink when it comes to that, because he is as bad as Paul Pierce ever was. Jason Tatum is 10 times worse at complaining about a call, not getting back on defense, and you wonder, I don't know how NBA officials work anymore. I don't follow the league every single night, like what official does what and who's calling what. I used to, but I wonder if that's held against him now because he does cry and whine so much about calls. But the people who are critical of Tatum, he's not a top 5 player. As long as he's 24th and averaging under 5 free throws per game, he's never going to be a top 5 player. Like that number's got to be, it's at least north of 6. Like north of 6 free throws a game gets you into the top 10, and he's under 5 right now.
Read me the 5 again. It was Giannis,
Embiid, Butler, DeRozan, Gobert, followed by Adebayo, Durant, Barnes, Davis, and Montrezl Harrell. So 3 of the guys are centers, but a bunch of these guys are shooting guards and small forwards that should be doing what.
and it's just
Jaylen
like
Brown's
that,
not playing right now.
Yeah, and
there's
that's
more room for him to go to the basket now.
That's like Jimmy Butler. I mean, that's like half his game. It's just like barreling through.
He's third. He's third in free throws per game. Yes.
Into
and so,
defense.
you think it's an unwillingness to do it?
Yeah, I think it's a generational thing where look, Giannis isn't from here, right? Like I don't think that he grew up with the half shot, AAU, hawk it from way outside the 3.
Yeah.
Like when we were growing up, right? And I know there's a little age
Back
difference.
when we were playing the hoops.
The
Peach Basket was great. It was awesome. Coach Naismith was excellent with us.
Yes.
In Springfield. Yeah, go ahead.
So, but when I'm assuming this about you. The cool thing on the playground was running and seeing how close you could get to touching the rim.
Every
right?
single time.
Oh, I can touch the net.
Time.
I can touch the net with my
Yes.
fingertips
Yeah.
because it was all about dunking. And that person can dunk. And lift me up to dunk with your parents or whatever, or your friends on the playground. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
But
you at the playground right
I
now.
don't think
Someone lift me up to
So I don't think that's how these guys, were. I think maybe at some point it flipped a little bit, and it's like, how far can you shoot it away? Can you go half court, like logo? Okay, can you go the other side of the logo? And that's like where the league is at now, so that's where the swaggy stuff is.
Is that the Steph Curryization of basketball where they see Steph shoot it and they've fallen in love with watching Steph do that? Because he's not in the top 10 on this list, but he's a much better shooter than Jason Tatum is.
Well, he's really little comparatively, so I'm not sure.
He's not as bulked up as Tatum is right now.
You want him
Yeah,
throwing
that's
himself
fair.
in the paint.
I mean, that's what the whole point I thought of this metamorphosis in his game was me going to the free throw line more. I thought he did it at times last year, but
Jaylen Brown is the one who's really been doing it.
So he's
the one who really changed up his game over the last 2 years doing that, getting into the paint when the points aren't falling from outside.
He's ahead of Tatum. He's 18th. He's averaging over 5 free throws per
That's
game.
this year.
And that's this year.
And he's been injured.
And it sounds like something small, but when you think about a player, as Meg's talking about, who's maybe his offensive development this year is not progressing. His shot's not falling. He's settling for the same shots he's always settled for. What's the one thing you can do? Go to the basket, get fouled, go to the free throw line. And he's just not doing it. And I choose to believe, again, there's probably some, Forsberg probably has this, or some of these basketball insiders, some stat that says, well, he doesn't get the calls other guys get, like some third or fourth metric that says calls that should have been fouls that weren't. They'll claim that Tatum's on that list. Under 5 free throws per game for somebody who is built to go to the basket more. That's a big problem.
And is the dominant ball handler. I mean, look, he's not your point guard, but he's the guy who should have the ball in his hands more than anybody else on the team.
You want him to.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have. They're not built with a point guard where you want him running the offense. You and I both, I believe, think that a true point guard would make this team better. like a true point guard that could run the whole thing, take that pressure off Tatum and Brown, and just run it for Udoka would make a lot of sense. They don't have that guy. Schroeder's the closest thing they have, and he's not even really fitting that mold. Like, Kyle Lowry's the player I always refer to. It's a default thing, but he's tough. He's a veteran. They would have listened to him, and he ran the offense in Toronto.
Right.
Like, that guy would have been a perfect fit, and they don't have that guy. I'm hoping they trade Marcus Smart for that guy. I don't even know who that guy is, but with Schroeder and Smart both here, it sounds like it's like they have two of the same guy. It's repetitive on the lineup right now with Schroeder and Marcus Smart both here. And I would trade Smart away, and I would find a way to get a different piece to work with Dennis Schroeder. So I wouldn't trade Schroeder. I know it's only a 1-year deal, but I would hold on to him, and I would trade Marcus Smart in that contract. I don't know if they're going to because it seems like the team likes him. I would still do that even with this 3 out of 4 they've won since we last talked about that.
The issue is, though, you need a facilitator, but you also need another scorer. And not just while Jaylen Brown is injured, but you need somebody else to take that offensive burden off of Tatum because he's not going to put up 50 most nights, even in the playoffs. Like, he's not LeBron James. He's extremely talented, but you need another scorer in there as well. So, it's hard to find both two different guys. You're basically angling for your third big 3 guy next season, I'm assuming next offseason.
Still waiting for that. Yeah.
And then you need a facilitator at point guard. So, those are both pretty big shoes to fill on your team.
All right, so we're still in the same spot. Where the defensive identity is something that's good to see. Tatum's offensive development, still not there. And until further notice, this is still, are we calling it a bridge year? Mm-hmm. Is it a treading water
this is
year?
The bridgiest bridge year to me.
I find it hard to disagree. Unless someone really emerges, unless maybe Udoka will wake up and say, you know what, I'm going to start playing Aaron Nesmith.
These are
what, I'm going to start playing the young kids. Until I see that and one of those guys emerges, there isn't that next guy stepping up to make this a much better team.
It's like the Cape Cod bridges. Apparently they're going to expire in 5 years. They're deteriorating.
Is that true? I'm a Southern Maine person versus a Cape person, so I know very little about the Cape.
I don't know. I was just hearing about the infrastructure bill today. So apparently,
what a day for you.
The Cape Cod bridges are pretty high up there. They're past their expiration date or something. They're gonna fall into the canal. I don't know. Something about how they need the Sagamore and Bourne Bridge both really need updates. They're gonna get them through this infrastructure bill, but it's kind of how I feel about these Celtics. Bridge.
You're home for infrastructure talk. Mud at Night, WEEI. Did not think that was coming. It sure is. We'll talk to Bill and Malden and all your Tatum and Celtic phone calls coming up at 617-779-7937, the phone number. Winners are 3 out of 4. Do you believe they've turned some sort of corner with this group? We'll get to that and a lot more. It's Mud at Night with Mego, WEEI.
Looking great is back in style. With the return of weddings, job interviews, in-person dates, and other events where you'll need to look your best, there's never been a better time to upgrade the suit that's been gathering dust in your closet. Indochino's 3-week Black Friday event has their lowest prices of the year on suits, shirts, outerwear, and more, all completely customized to fit you and your style perfectly. Indochino offers completely custom-fitted clothing at surprisingly affordable prices. Get a wardrobe personalized to your measurements, starting from just $2.99 for suits and $45 for shirts, with customizations included. Choose your favorite options for every detail, from the fabric and lapel to the monogram and statement linings. Measure yourself on the website in 10 minutes, then wear your suit out of the box. Get away from the video calls and back into looking and feeling amazing. Indochino's Black Friday event runs from November 8th to the 29th. Order custom garments with ease at Indochino.com or book an appointment at one of over 70 showrooms across North America.
Now, Mud at Night on WEEI.
I don't know. You miss shots sometimes. I ain't missed this many shots in my career, but I guess it's part of it. Can't get too down. Can't get too excited. Try to be the same person when I'm 7 for 30 as when I was scoring 50 and 60. Can't change who I am or how I act or want anybody to feel bad for me. I'm missing shots. I'm continuing to keep working. It's going to come. I haven't doubted myself, not once. Neither have my teammates. Neither have my opponents. They still guard me closely. They don't leave me. They don't help because they know what I'm capable of. But just got to keep working at it. Keep watching film. You got to keep shooting.
That's one part of the criticism for Tatum I've not understood. It's Mud at Night, WEEI. I get people who've been critical of his development and not getting other guys involved and sometimes on the court, demanding the basketball and commanding it and not giving it back up. The attitude one, I got to tell you, I can't get worked up about it. I don't mind players who are stoic, Mego, who just want to try to stay even keel and not ride the roller coaster. And clearly he's having a bad. Well, that's what he's being right now. And he's had a bad shooting year, and he's trying to not let it affect his game. I don't need somebody who gets like really up and like super hyper like a puppy when you walk in and then is asleep an hour later because he's tired himself out. I don't mind the Tatum attitude. Doesn't bother me about that player.
I don't mind it if there's the right player to counterbalance it. I think that with the way that he is, and then the kind of, it seems like introspective nature of Jaylen Brown, there's like it feels like, I'm not saying it looks like there's a lack of energy because Jaylen Brown can like run with a head full of steam at certain points on the floor. But it just feels a little flat at times.
Well, their on-court chemistry is still not there. We've seen flashes of it, Mego, but it's just, I don't know. I agree with Jeff Goodman. A lot of people hated his take that they don't really like playing together. They don't make each other better. And that's not a this year problem, probably. I don't think you're trading Jaylen Brown during the year, but it still could be a bigger, macro problem for this team.
I think if Jason Tatum showed like a flash of fiery personality or, like Celtic pride or something like that, I think it would.
Like the movie Celtic Pride, yes.
Like it would go really far with the fan base. And I'm not saying that he should do that. That doesn't seem to be his personality. That's not authentically him. But it's like, it's so easy to win these fans over. It really is. Like, if you look at the Knicks the Hawks with Trae Young, like him, he balls out, not even to the level that Jason Tatum does, but then he stands up and, like, yells at MSG the first time the whole Knicks crowd is there after the pandemic. And it's like, okay, the Hawks are going to love him for at least, even if he has a crap season, they're going to be like, well, wait, that's our guy, I think that if he just showed a little bit of that fire, not directed towards the refs, maybe either directed towards the other team or the other team's fans or something, that would go a really long way.
It's a weird fan base, though, not just the Celtics fan base, but Boston sports fans. I grew up here, so I can say this, and I've been part of this, so I'm guilty of it. We tend to appreciate like the scrappy McScrappersons more than like the talented players.
Oh yeah, Isaiah, like IT. Or,
undersized, like Rudy Rudigers of the world. Yeah, we like those guys more. Again, and Tatum is not that. He was a top 5 pick, played in Duke. He's a homegrown, like, blue chip player, and so there's more expected out of him. And maybe you're right. Maybe
he feels
the love
closer
for Boston.
to Paul Pierce to me in that way.
I would agree with you on that.
Where it was like there was such a long relationship with Paul Pierce before the rest of the big three came in, where it was like, oh, this guy is not doing it for us, is how...
That's a great comparison.
It's like, oh, come on. Oh,
Big three Paul Pierce.
Yeah.
Yes, who got criticized just like Tatum's being criticized now. It's a great... I had not thought about that.
And it's...
Him and Antoine Walker got crucified for not taking this team far enough. And then Antoine's out, the big three came in here, and now he's a Hall of Famer, and you forget that there was a lot of the same commentary on Paul Pierce when he played here.
And I don't think that it is
great point
personally about Tatum. I think it's just that the makeup of the team has not been right for most of the time he's been here. And that's not to take it off of Tatum and say that there aren't things that he could do.
I'm okay taking things off Tatum.
He takes on a lot, but there are things he could do to change some of this narrative if he cared about it, or to change his game, as you said, getting to the free throw line, throwing himself into the paint a little bit more. There are always areas for improvement, but I think it's more about the situation that he's been in and who's been around him. And I'm sorry, because that sounds bad for the Celtics, but I do think it's the truth of the situation.
I would agree. Bill's in Malden on Jason Tatum at 617-779-7937. It's Mud at Night with Mego. Hi, Bill.
Hey, I love Mego. I mean, she's not a Fitzy with the Patriots, but, man, she has the right idea of what is happening with this team. I love her conservative idea of, this team. She's not taking hot takes all over the place. I love it.
Thank you.
And Tommy's the man. I mean, the two of you guys have got a good thing going, no?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for watching Quickslant.
I mean, she's on the radio right now. You can appreciate the other host here, Bill.
Tatum's
They're the
not
TV
my
show.
man.
Go ahead.
He just doesn't have it. To look at him just last night, and you just played the interview. I'm sorry, it just doesn't excite me. And maybe he's not. Doesn't have the the Kobe in him. He's I'll get it eventually.
Well, Bill, I think he would take that pretty personally because Kobe was his idol. We know that he went out there and worked out with him. But I think there's something to that of having this kind of, what is Tatum's identity? What do you think his self-identity is as a basketball player? Because he...
Closer/scorer. That's what he sees himself as.
I just don't, but that's only at the end of games.
Yeah, I think
or
that's
scorer.
He sees himself as the go-to scorer and a guy who closes out games for his teams at a high level in the NBA. Is what I guess. What I think is that's not fair. That's what I see his identity as. What he sees.
Does he think he's like a sniper from the 3-point line? And so is that why he's not going in the paint? Like, this is what I'm thinking about because
goes back to roles.
It goes back to roles, and he's young and developing, and so I don't think that it's entirely his fault if he's not sure who he is in the league yet. But it may explain why there's this kind of lack of excitement around him or feels like, lack of completion with whatever he is in games.
It's the attitude. It's you said it early in the segment. His attitude rubs Boston fans the wrong way.
But he doesn't have a bad attitude.
Reason.
He doesn't have a bad attitude.
But it's not a rah-rah positive attitude. And there are people, and I've heard Keith say this, and maybe he's right, they get the impression the way he acts that he's already thinking about his next team. And they feel like he's already sort of thinking about where's he going to go to next. And maybe that's part
paranoia.
Of it. Yeah, well, and I agree. His game, again, I don't get the argument about his game. He's everything I want in an NBA player. He is a scorer. He's unstoppable when he gets in the zone. He's not shooting well this year, so I can't defend the shooting part of it. He doesn't go to the rim enough. I agree with you. He takes plays and series off. I totally agree. He's got to mature in those areas. The other stuff, there's not many better than him in the NBA, and he's got to tighten. But if I'm gonna keep saying and keep yelling from the rooftops, he's gonna be a top 5 player. At some point, he's got to show the other pieces of the game. Or else he ends up being, like you said, the guy who never lived up to the hype of a player coming out of Duke who maybe peaked early and then used the Mac Jones line, maybe plateaued as a player in the NBA.
Here's the ideal scenario, okay? So the Lakers come to town on Friday.
Yes.
There's a lot of speculation. Woj said earlier today, I believe, that there is a good possibility that LeBron James is going to be reactivated after having this abdominal strain, whatever it was. So the best thing that could happen to Tatum is he dunks on LeBron. LeBron goes down and is, faking an injury or whatever. Not actually hurt. I don't want LeBron to get hurt. Somebody else on the team, let's say Anthony Davis, like another young guy who's hot in the game, gets up in Tatum's face, starts saying something to him. Tatum says something back, and his team gets around him. And it's like, hold me back, hold me back. Nobody actually gets hurt.
The thing where the fans all stand up together.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Oh, something's going to happen.
And everybody's like, no. And then after the game, Tatum goes, he said Boston sucks. That's all it takes. Like, that's all. If he did
Ben,
that.
does that seem likely, Ben? Is that a possible scenario on Friday?
I think that's happening.
If there was a situation like that, this town would wrap their big green arms around Tatum and say, he's ours. That's our boy. If he got on and he said, yeah, well, Anthony Davis came up in my face and said, Boston is a second-tier city, New York's better, and iced coffee sucks. Can you imagine?
He said he doesn't like dunks. Oh!
Fighting words right there.
Oh, that's not a bad scenario.
Ben Affleck shouldn't have gotten the Oscar for Argo. Boom!
Again, not sure I disagree with that one.
I'm just saying, you don't talk about Boston that way. No, but seriously.
I like that. Okay, so like he stand up for Boston, rep Boston a little bit. I like it.
And, like something to rally the team around, that something with a little fire,
On a Friday night at the Garden with the Patriots having played the night before. Yeah. He said Mac sucks. What?
Yeah, he said Mac is a system quarterback at best. Doesn't it feel like the old days if that happened? Like if somebody said that to KG and KG was like, I know you didn't just say that.
He needs some KG in him. 617-779-7937, the phone number. Mego's in the house. It's Mud at Night.
Now I'm just doing fantasy
Listen,
scenarios.
fantasy role play for the Celtics. Like imaginary stuff that can happen. Guy who likes role play himself, Rex Ryan, talking well about Bill Belichick. We'll get to that next on the Mud at Night program.
Now back to Mud at Night on WEEI.
We'll get to Rex Ryan, who is loving what the Patriots are doing right now to some extent. Mud at Night, WEEI. Mego's in the house. Mark in Cambridge waiting patiently. Let's talk to Mark, though. Hey, Mark.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good, Mark. How are you, man?
Good. So on the Tatum stuff, I'm not gonna promote violence like Mego's trying to do. But
no. Just conflict. Just conflict.
We know what you mean. We know what you mean.
I have a bloodthirst.
But I think, this is, and I don't think maybe Al Horford's not the guy for this, but this is like a Bull Durham moment, right? You've got the young kid with the $1 million arm, but the 5-cent head. Who are they going to bring in that he respects that can mentor him and get his head on straight? Because the kid's got a world of talent. But I agree. Sometimes I watch him out there and he looks disinterested. He looks like he thinks he's better than he is. He thinks he's already reached that upper echelon. I don't see the fire in the way I would like to see in him. But, obviously he's incredibly talented and can play and has the ability to take over a game. But somebody's got to get his head on straight.
Mark, thanks. I don't think it's crazy to think that Al Horford was brought back in a way to sort of mold the Celtic, whatever that old Celtic vision was in Tatum, to give him a veteran presence on the team, because a very young team, there's not a lot of guys that can do that. I'm not shocked that that's what Brad Stevens had in mind, bringing Al Horford back here.
Yeah, and
really
just being a steadying presence in a locker room full of a lot of young guys and a lot of younger guys and guys who haven't played together a ton. But
guys with real quick legit beef. That dinner 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry, that legitimately showed there was issues there.
They've been better since then.
Yeah,
so something got worked out.
That was Big Al setting up a little steak dinner.
I don't. He's still not going to be the one that I love the Bull Durham analogy because that's one of my favorite movies. But I don't think that I don't think that Al is Kevin Costner.
That might be veteran player, been around, last opportunity or the play for a winner.
I love Al. Super great guy. I think has been
the butt's coming.
I
love him. He's great, but
he's been really good on the court, and apparently he's organizing steak dinners, which is really nice. Who says no?
But
he's not swaggy. He's not swaggy.
There is no swag to his game. There's no swag to Al Horford's game.
He's not a swaggy dude, and that's okay. But you need a swaggy guy to come in. You need a Jimmy Butler who, when he's in the bubble, he makes his own, cappuccinos?
Coffee shop, yeah.
And he set up a cappuccino shop for the rest of the NBA coming to his hotel room once they were all out of lockdown. I want a guy like that, a guy who's always thinking. He's always got something going.
Always scheming.
Exactly.
Else.
Got a scheme going.
A guy like Rex Ryan. Rex Ryan, who has been all about the Patriots and Bill Belichick the last couple of weeks. Here was Rex Ryan on ESPN praising your Patriots coach.
Bill Belichick, this is his best job he's ever done coaching.
Wow.
And when I look at it, what he's done with a rookie quarterback, because you're right, Tom Brady was in his second year, all right? But this is this young man's first year. And I see it because I'm like, man, there's no way he can't drive the football. He can't do all this type of stuff. That's right. He doesn't have to. Why? Because they don't put him in those situations.
They don't have him.
All right?
Set him up to
no.
fail.
And some of the throws he makes, it's easy to say, well, look at all the passes he's throwing in the run. Anybody can do that. No, they can't.
Yeah.
This guy can feather the football. He can do those type of things. But Belichick is amazing. It's not just, by the way, all coaching. It was what he did in the offseason that makes Belichick different. Real. He put in $160-some million. We've seen Judon. This defense is doing great because of having Judon there. You get Kendrick Bourne is finally showing up. Where the hell he come from? Oh, no, that was a free agent signing. Yep. Hunter Henry, you mentioned? Yeah, he's playing like the tight end everybody thought he could be. So got to give Belichick the credit.
So all those things are true, and Judon, the draft, everything else. It's so premature to say this is Bill Belichick's best coaching job. I'm fine saying it's much better than I thought it was going to be, and Bill deserves a big boatload of the credit, but it's just sort of blowing past like ridiculous years they had, whether it was undefeated going to the Super Bowl, whether it was 2001. Like, it is just so early and so hot takey to go that route right now with Bill, as good as the job has been so far.
I literally made that a hot take early in the season, like week 2 or something, or week 3. I said Bill will be coach of the year. And I say that because it's a hot take, and I do think it's
spicy.
It's too early to say that this is, but when you look at his coaching resume overall, it certainly seems it's heading that direction. Now, when we look at that, do we need to separate it, church and state, from being the GM? Because a lot of the success that he's having this season is more of the GM Bill, which is totally opposite to what we were saying last year, right?
Oh, yeah. It's a much better year than last year.
Last year, he was excelling as a coach in spite of his roster that he put together. This year, he really prepped the season. You know, he got his prep work done, if he's a cook. He sliced everything up. He did a big shop, got all the good ingredients, and now he's cooking, and he's burning his thumb a few times, like we saw early in the season. But, I mean, the food is smelling good.
But what's different this year on the coaching side is that the hallmark of Bill's teams
is that they can't count.
That's number one, and they waste. No, that's not the hallmark. How dare you? They're doing that this year. They get better, and this team, last year's team did not get better, and it was one of the biggest, scars on that team. And all this, Bills. No, they plateaued. The word we've used a million times here tonight. And at the end of the year, they're irrelevant for the last couple of weeks. This team, as far as I can tell, is doing the old Belichick thing from a coaching standpoint. Not what you're talking about. Coaching is getting incrementally better. Mm-hmm. They're giving more from Mac to do offensively. The defense, which you and I agree is not that talented outside of J.C. Jackson, the back end, they're making very good quarterbacks, even with that lack of talent, look bad. So you want to separate them, it's fine. But I do think the coaching has been getting better, and the team's getting better, which is all you can hope for with a team led by a rookie quarterback, that they don't come out and they don't play their best football in September, and then teams figure them out, and then they go backwards. They're going the other way. So I think you had it right the first time. If you want to separate the two, that's fine. I still think just coaching-wise, forgetting the player personnel stuff, he's having a good year and the team's getting better. And that's what's important. And by the way, the quarterback's getting better, which I give Josh a lot of credit here. But Bill, I guess, deserves development there as well to get out of the way and let Josh just work with the QB.
Well, and what I think is most interesting about the job, that if we're going to attribute the success to Bill, which I think is fair to do, it starts at the top, is that he's giving this team different looks to give to other teams each week. So it's very easy in a way to prepare for a team that like the Chargers, is throw heavy, because you know who you have to shut down, how to game plan them. I think that the Patriots up to this point have been able to unlock different weapons during different games, with the exception of Jonnu Smith, who is just a safe with a million locks on it.
I'd say I'd add Nelson Aguilar to that list as well.
Yeah,
he's not been unlocked yet.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a Damian Harris game. Well, now we're going to shut down Damian Harris. Okay, well, we're going to do different kinds of runs for Ramondre Stevenson. Or this is going to be a game where Mac really excels in the death by a million paper cuts with the short passes down the field to Kendrick Bourne and Jacoby Myers. And then each week, that he's going to Hunter Henry in the red zone, but they still find each other. And so I think that is very... What's the word I'm looking for?
It's huge.
But it's very Patriot-like.
No, they're but when they were Brady, Lombardi would call it, they're multiple offensively. They were a game plan. Last year, Mego, they were not a game plan offense. They were Cam. They could power run a little bit, but they could never match up, and especially after the Seattle game early, they could not go with you. If you took their run game away, that was it. Cam couldn't beat you. You're right. They're multiple again this year, and they're a modern NFL offense again, which makes them relevant in the league. And that's on Bill and to an extent on Josh, who I think has had an awesome year. Josh is going to get a job after this year, unless he is tailor-made to take over this job. He's already been told he's going to take it. He has done enough now. I'm sure there are teams already out there saying, yep, we're going to bleep can this guy, and our first interview is going to be Josh. Look at what he is doing with a rookie quarterback. Because I think we probably give Bill more of the credit, whereas the assistants or the other GMs are all saying, look at what this guy has done. He did it with Brady. Cam was okay. But give him a good rookie quarterback and look at what Josh is doing. This has been an awesome year for Josh through 10 weeks.
Yeah, and that's going to be the really delicate situation, I think, for them towards the end of the year of what are the conversation behind closed doors. Because of the Rooney Rule, you cannot appoint an heir apparent or anything like that. You need to interview a certain range of coaching candidates.
Even if you
for
elevate
NFL
somebody
positions.
on your staff?
Yes.
You can't elevate?
They can't point out and say this is going to be our guy next. They have to interview candidates of color.
So
they have to make that position available to anybody.
I know the base of the Rooney Rule. I thought there was a position where if you elevate somebody on your staff that's already in-house, if you don't open the job to somebody and basically appoint someone the job. And again, it could be wrong, but that's semantic. But let's say that's the case, then you're right. You say it's delicate. How do you handle it then? Like, do you just secretly tell them, I'm sure this happened before. You got the job. We have to follow the NFL precedent, and we'll come back and hire you in 2 weeks.
But even then, it's like, so, okay, but when? Because if they ask Bill that, don't you think at this point, the way things are going, Bill's going to say, Bill's
going to be grumpy the way he was in those old videos with Bob Kraft eating his lunch and saying, I don't want to talk about this right now.
Exactly. I mean, it turns into an HBO show. We need the succession of the New England Patriots. Which coach is going to take it over? And it seems like the coach that's
There's one answer, Josh. There's no other else. No, Steve Belichick?
Somebody else might
Ron
scoop
Mayo?
it up first. So scoop him up first. And how do you keep him around? What do you promise him? What do you do in the meantime? They already have given him a lot of money. At some point, he wants to be his own man.
It's like Connor. Connor wants money right now. Wants money and power. Wants to be president. Wants some money. You promise him
so he can go spend it on Napoleon artifacts?
Yes, that's what he wants to do. Let's get the Napoleon penis, whatever he's trying to get.
All right.
I
didn't want to get that specific.
Well, it's the show. Sorry, spoilers. Succession's good. Sorry. You put me on the show. I'm going to talk about it. So, yeah, I'm with you, and it is delicate. I'm sure Jonathan is like, how do we not lose this guy? He works with the quarterback. He can talk quarterback. He runs a modern NFL offense. What do I have to do to keep him here without offending the rest of the NFL by following a Rooney Rule, which I think I think its time has passed. I don't think it's still, not that it's not necessary, but when the Rooney Rule's in place and you're also giving draft picks and cash compensation for hiring coaches of color, I think you're doing a good job. But if someone wants to hire somebody, they're going to hire that person. It's not going to. They're going to find ways around it. They're going to get someone on Zoom. They're going to fly them in, like it's happened 100 times before. As basically, hey, we're doing this to fulfill our. One was like the last guy I can think of where it was like we hired this coach because of the Rooney Rule. I'm not sure if it still works the way they want it to work back in the early part of the 2000s.
And I think Tomlin's a totally underrated coach, but that's a conversation for a different day. I also wonder about Mac in that situation. If you get towards the end of the season. Is it any kind of distraction for Mac? I mean, this is projecting way in the future, but it's just the beginning of his career. And if he's sitting there going like, oh, man, is Josh going to leave? Just wringing his hands.
Oh, so I didn't think about that. Like, so the rumors start as they're getting towards the playoffs. Where it's like so-and-so gets fired. Like, the Raiders job. Yeah. Looks like a perfect job for Josh. Owner with a bunch of money. Going to let him do what he wants. Decent young quarterback in Derek Carr. Like, that's...
Be kind of weird to move his family to Vegas, though.
Oh, again, that's how much Mrs. McDaniels has to say. But again...
He's got, kids in high school and younger.
Different topic, different show. We've spent enough of your time here tonight. Go watch Quick Slants. You didn't watch it live tonight. Watch it on demand, where Mego is wearing props. She won't tell me why, because she wants me to watch the show, so I'm going to go watch that. And follow on Twitter at Megan_Ottolini. Anything that you want to plug? Anything going on this week?
I hear there's a football game on Thursday.
There is. There is going to be a football game. And if you're just deciding not to listen to the game or watch the game for a little bit, we'll be on the air beginning at 8 o'clock on Thursday. So check us out. We'll be hanging out during the game. Mego, good seeing you. We'll see you next week.
Yes. Thanks, Mike.
Megan_Ottolini. We got another hour to go here. Brian Barrett's going to take over at 10 o'clock. But when we come back, 2 big Patriot questions to get to with you guys. Hour 4, Mud at Night, WEEI.